Hello friends, and welcome to the shop and another Wednesday quickie here at the Urban Homesteading Channel's Homestead. If this is your first visit in our channel, we want to extend to you a very warm welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. If today is your birthday, happy birthday. On our last episode, we create a nice portable base for our bandsaw that has been in storage for some time. And as I'm servicing it, we decide to buy a new blade for it, right? In addition to new tires. Now the issue with buying a new blade, not the issue, I guess it can be an issue.
The challenge.
Our saw is fairly old and it took us some time to find the manual. You need the manual to know what size blade you need to buy, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what if you cannot find the manual? I mean, it took Elpida quite a lot of research to find it, right?
Yeah.
What if you cannot find the manual? Well, today we're going to show you a fast way to find the exact length of your blade so you know you ordered the correct blade. So stick around and we're going to show you how to do that. Take your blade and if you can, find the welding spot of the blade. In my case, I cannot see the welding spot. I know there is one, but it is not very pronounced. I cannot see it. And for our technique, we need to know a set point. So I'm going to take a permanent marker, right?
Yep.
Can you see?
Yep, we can see.
And I'm making a mark there.
Mm-hmm.
So let me show you what we're going to do next. So you start by locking a measuring tape on your floor, and then you take your piece and there, it's good. You put the mark that you made in the beginning of your tape, and then you walk the blade around, making sure not to slip, and you walk it around until you come to the mark again.
And we're actually at 73.
Are we?
Yep.
Oh, it's 72 and a half.
Well, it slid back a little bit,
Okay.
so I would call it 73.
And that gives you the dimension of your blade. Now this is a process that's worth doing by your twice, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because this can slip as you're rolling it, or errors in measurements are very common, as we always say, right?
Right.
So if you do it twice and you come with the same measurement, you're good to go. If you don't come with the same measurement, do it again.
So do these blades ever get stretched out at all from use?
They do get a little bit stretched, but they will not be enough to make a difference in this measurement, you know?
Okay.
Because it's metal, it will not stretch like plastic.
I just wondered if it would create a variance in what you need to order.
This is the dimension. It will
Okay.
probably be very small. It will be maybe a thousandth of an inch, and because the two wheels move, you're going to stretch the blade
Okay.
anyway, right?
Okay.
So measure it until you can find 2 or 3 consistent measures, right?
Mm-hmm. And we did measure again, and we got the same measurement of 73.
Right. Yeah, it's not riveting entertainment
So-
to saw it twice. You know?
Right.
All right. Now, if you cannot do that, let's say you're a person with limited mobility, right? You might not be able to bend. There are people that won't be able to do that, as simple as it is. Then you can use mathematics to calculate the length of your blade, right? So come closer. So here's what you're going to need to do. You need to go from the beginning, from the middle of the spoke here, to the middle of the spoke there.
Okay.
Does it make sense what I said?
Yep.
You need to measure that distance.
The small wheel, the middle of the small wheel to the middle of the big wheel.
And
Now,
that's 20 inches.
yeah, but it looks like your
I'm a little, yeah, but it is. 20
table is interfering a little
Right.
bit with your.
Turn your table. Let's say 20 inches, right?
Okay.
And then you need to multiply that by 2, because it's going on 2 sides. What we'll calculate is the straight portion of the blade.
Okay.
But then you also need this portion here, right? So you take the diameter of your 2 wheels. So this is 8 1/4. And this is 12 1/4. And you're going to add those together. So let's see if that will work or not. 8 1/4. 12 1/4. And 40.
It was 20, and then you said times 2.
Yeah. So 8, 2, 10, 0, right? So the circumference of the circle is 2 pi r, where r is the radius. So if you have 2 wheels, like we do, more often than not, they're going to be the same dimension. In our case, they're not. So you're taking from the middle of one to the middle of the other. So you're taking this distance, let's say 20 inches, and you take that times 2, because you have 2 dimensions, 2 sides. Then you calculate 2 pi r, and pi is 3.14. So 2 times 3.14 times r, which is the radius, and the radius is half of what you calculated before from edge to edge. You have that. So if that was, in our case, was 8 inches, then you have it, and this is 4. And what you find here, and I'm going to write a number, I didn't calculate it, let's say 23, is actually the circumference. But you only need from here to here. From here to here, so you need half of the circumference. So you take your result and you divide it by 2, and this is your dimension. So let's say 24, let's say this is 12. So for this example, let's say we have the same dimension here. So you're going to add half of the circumference plus half of the circumference. So 12 plus 12, and then 2 times this, so this is 40. So in this example, you have 12 plus 12 is 24 plus 40, it will be 64 inches, which is in fact the length of your blade. So that's an easy way to do it. If you have difficulties, let's say for example, you have a hard time bending down, you're a person with limited mobility, you cannot do that work. You can still use the bandsaw, but you cannot really put it on the floor like we showed you. This is the mathematical way. Again, the formula is 2 pi r. R is the radius, not the diameter. On a circle, from side to side, this is the diameter, and the radius is half of it. Now, it's easier to measure the diameter, because for the radius you have to be exactly in the middle. So it's easier to measure the diameter and divide it by half to get the radius. And then make the simple calculation that will give you the circumference, and then divide it by 2, because you need only half the circumference of each circle. If you, like us, have 2 different size circles, you actually have to calculate the circumference of both circles. In most bandsaws, however, you only have one size. The bottom, the drive circle, and the slave circle are actually the same dimension, so you don't have to worry about that. This is an easy mathematical calculation to find out the exact dimension of the bandsaw blade you need every time without having the manual, without knowing anything about the dimension. Now there is another thing, and that is the teeth, and I cannot draw a blade apparently here. And what you do is you go from the middle between 2 teeth, the valley as is also known, and you go an inch out. So 1, 2, this will be a 2 teeth per inch blade. Again, you go from the valley, you start there, and then you go an inch down, and wherever that finishes, if it finishes on the tooth, you count that tooth. If it finishes on the valley, you don't count that tooth. So it can finish in any place. And then the last dimension, if you need a specific blade, is from the edge of the blade to the top of the tooth. And this gives you the width of your blade. So you knowing all those dimensions now, you can safely and securely make the calculations you need to buy the correct blade every time. So we hope you enjoyed this episode. Of the Urban Homesteading channel, and me making a mess of my blade.
Right, you should be wearing gloves.
I should, but I should know, I should be able to close that blade. I did it before. There it goes. He doesn't want to do it because I'm on camera.
Right.
When I do it off camera, it works.
Yeah.
Anyway, forgive me. This is an easy way to measure without any doubt the length of your blade, right?
Right.
So then you order this length, and in our case, what we said, 73?
Yes.
And when it arrives, you know it's going to fit your bandsaw.
Right.
It is that simple. Also, since we're giving tips, how do you know what diameter tire to buy? Well, it is very, very confusing sometimes because, again, if you don't have the manual, one who might think that you need to know the dimension of the perimeter, what is it called? Yeah.
Yeah.
However, tires are sold by the diameter. So this will be a 12-inch tire. Does it make sense? So, and this is, we are lucky, we have two different sizes. So this is 8 and this is 12. So we need to buy two different sizes. So those are easy ways, even if you don't have your manual, to find how to get it. And in our case, this was the saw we bought used, right?
Yep.
It didn't come with a manual, but Elpida, after a lot of search, found the manual, I believe, online. So we knew the specs. But let's say we didn't find the specs, or you want to double check them in case there are versions of this saw that are a little different. These are easy ways to find the length of your blade and the size of the tires that you need to have your saw in tip-top shape. Anything we forgot?
Nope.
We hope sorry. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, we'll appreciate a thumbs up. If you didn't, the other button works as well. Just make sure you press it twice. Share, like, subscribe, and let us know what else you might want to watch in our Wednesday Quickies. From Dr. Wizard, Elpida, and the Urban Homesteading Channel, put your masks on, get vaccinated, and wash your hands. So we're going to see you soon with another episode. Farewell, friends.